Veteran Salute is sponsored by the Devon James Injury Lawyers.
50 years after he returned from Vietnam, a Wichita native says he still dreams about it.
Gwen Bevel and photojournalist Nicholas Kiefer have his story. Bill Sample says the camaraderie with the guys will always mean so much to him. He says they were all just a bunch of kids in a war. Bill Sample knew he was headed to boot camp once he graduated North High.
I got drafted 12 days after high school.
In no time, he was moving all over the place in Vietnam.
You're way up in the air, you know, and you see all your stuff below hanging.
He says they also filled a ton of sandbags.
And there's our sleeping quarters right there we had to build all the time.
They were just off a Hamburger Hill.
That's why I took the picture, just to have them for memories.
Sample was part of a division in the Big Red One.
They're on a fire mission right now on that picture there.
He served as a radio operator.
If you didn't get the right data in, you can fire the rounds in our own spot and we had our own people.
Sample knows what it's like to come under enemy fire.
Anything can pop up, you know.
Like the ambush he ran into when he was just about 2 months shy of coming home.
My mouth just dropped to my stomach when it happened. I had to think fast.
He says they shot out the tire and hit the frame on a Jeep like this one.
If I hadn't swerved over, they probably could have got me in the back of the head. I was really, really lucky.
He says he was so glad when his time there was done.
And I was glad to come home.
He says there was no welcome home.
We just came home, that was it.
He says what made it even worse was knowing how many would never make it back.
I always choke up when I see the ball.
He got to pay tribute to a dear friend in D.C. during a Kansas honor flight.
When I got there, there were so many people there, and screaming and yelling, saying, "Welcome back, over home."
Sample says that meant so much.
It's been a long time, but it's so in your heart.
Sample still has his uniform.
Pass it down to my kids, you know, my grandkids.
He already passed down a love for service. 3 of his sons know exactly what it was like to head off to basic training.
I felt really, really proud of them, being in the military.
Sample's wife was always proud of her veteran, and in the last decade or so did the paperwork to get him the medals he earned.
I didn't have to go in, but I did anyway.
Sample says the guys had a real scary night one night when a rocket landed right next to one of their cots. He says thankfully it was a dud. Here for you, Gwen Bevel, KSN News 3.
The Devon James Injury Lawyers here with our Veteran of the Week, and that Specialist 4, Bill Sample, who served our country in Vietnam. On behalf of all of Kansas, thank you for your service.
You're very welcome.
Veteran Salute is sponsored by the Devon